Do you still sharpen chainsaws like this? Well, there are faster ways to get more accurate and much more uniform results, and it's surprising how affordable those options have gotten over time. Coming up next, we'll look at some modern alternatives and make the case for what may well be the optimal method without breaking the bank. Right now, here on Shop Tales and Lore. If you're a serious do-it-yourselfer or home workshop enthusiast looking for a variety of helpful content in one place, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified whenever we release a new video. And if we've helped you today, please take a moment to like, share, and comment below. It helps these videos reach more folks, and your comments help others as well. Thanks again. Early chainsaws were designed for one thing: commercial logging. But with today's assortment of gas, corded, and cordless pole saws, pruners, and lightweight utility saws, even suburban homeowners typically own at least one or two. But what about maintenance? Even if kept away from rocks, dirt, and metal debris, sooner or later all chains need sharpening. Professional sharpening services do a great job, but are often backlogged, especially in peak seasons. Let's face it, when we manage to find time to trim those trees or process firewood, we need our saws to be on hand and ready to go, not tied up in a shop someplace. So it's a normal impulse for DIYers to want to maintain and sharpen the chains themselves. Since chainsaws first came on the scene, the go-to sharpening method for most occasional users and even some professionals has been the simple round file. Filing may get us by in a pinch, but it has two major drawbacks: the time investment required and the fact that neither the tool nor the chain is securely held in place, so the teeth tend to move and flex while the file drifts on and off the desired angle and up and down in the gullets, producing inconsistent results. The Dremel-based systems are faster than filing, but still require free-handing the angles, the same as with a file. A few sharpeners and guides are designed to add some rigidity by clamping to the bar, but this only deals with half of the problem. The chain itself is still subject to unwanted movement while installed on the saw, no matter how tightly we adjust the chain tension. For precision, speed, and consistency, it's hard to beat a dedicated chainsaw grinder. Its advantage is that it holds the tooth you're working on absolutely still, but historically they've been a little pricey and not widely available. Many years ago, when my dad retired from his engineering career and opened a sharpening shop, grinders like this little Foley bell saw Model 550 were common in small shops, but still fairly expensive because in those days there were no imported alternatives. But these grinders are no longer costly specialty tools found only in pro shops. In fact, most sharpening services that do a significant volume of chains have moved on to automatic indexing machines like this Dynasaw that currently retails for over $5,000 US, while it's common now to see the manual grinders at several different price points aimed at the consumer homeowner market. A common concern with AC-powered grinders is portability, especially for users who need to sharpen equipment at remote job sites. But since many full-size pickups nowadays come with AC outlets rated for at least 400 watts, and small inverters are available for older vehicles and practically every budget, it's easier than ever to use one of the affordable newer style grinders in both the shop and the field. Unless you're in the most primitive low-tech situation, like, say, logging with horses, the need to sharpen a chainsaw with a file should come up about as often as the need for, well, a buggy whip. After looking at several different modern grinders, we chose this model from Northern Tool, sold under their Strongway brand. We've used it for about 2 years now, and it's held up really well. Retailing for about $170, it's priced roughly in the mid-range of similar tools. This channel has no affiliation with Northern Tool or its vendors. We just like the solid construction of this little grinder and have had good results with it for a couple of years now. Whichever brand you choose, look for sturdy construction and controls that hold their settings without slipping or drifting out of adjustment. Let's start with a few basics, both to know what to look for and to help illustrate what we're trying to accomplish with the sharpening process. A sharp chain will make chips, not dust. A quick way to gauge the condition of the chippers is to gently drag a thumb or finger along the chain. The point of a sharp tooth will snag the skin. Obviously, this must be done with the saw turned off and the chain stopped. At any rate, if the chain can't pass these basic tests, it's time to touch it up. Start by thoroughly cleaning the chain with solvent and a brass brush. If you don't have a parts washer, aerosol brake cleaner works just fine. This step not only keeps oil and dirt out of your grinder, but it's also much easier to inspect the chain for cracks or other damage to the teeth, rakers, and drive links. For most crosscut chains, the face angle, as shown in this top view, will be about 30 to 35 degrees. Chains designed for ripping have a less pronounced face angle, usually somewhere around 10 degrees. The basic cutter shape, sometimes referred to as the side plate angle, should be 90 degrees in relation to the bottom of the cutter. If this angle exceeds 90 degrees, the cutter will be hook-shaped and will dull faster than normal. If this angle is negative or slopes back, the cutting action will be slow and more pressure will be required to get a satisfactory cut. To determine the correct grinding disc thickness, it can be useful to know the pitch of a given chain, which is simply the distance between the drive links. To determine pitch, measure the span between any 3 consecutive rivets and divide by 2. The pitch for most chains designed for general utility use is typically between 325 thousandths and 3/8 of an inch. Depending on the pitch and tooth shape, the corresponding disc thickness is normally somewhere between 5/32 and 3/16 of an inch. It's a good idea to keep an assortment of discs on hand to ensure a good match. If your disc is new, it will have a square edge that must be rounded with a dressing stone prior to use. This also rejuvenates a disc that has become glazed or clogged with metal particles. The strong way comes with a small dressing brick and template to help get the right edge profile. Place the chain loosely in the vise of the sharpener, for this model with the chippers pointing to the operator's right, and check to be sure the vise angle and side plate angle are adjusted for your chain's tooth shape. With the grinder off, lower the disc and position the chain laterally so that the gullet of the first tooth lines up with the path of the disc, and the disc will just make contact with the face of the chipper. Use this test positioning to set the lateral and depth stops. Tighten the chain in the vise and mark your starting tooth with chalk or a magic marker. Start the grinder and slowly lower the disc into the gullet of the first chipper, checking the disc alignment as you go. If all looks good, lightly grind the first chipper and check the result. Readjust the depth and lateral stops if needed. Closely inspect your progress. Use good lighting and a magnifying glass if necessary. You want to see freshly ground metal across the entire face of the chipper with minimal grinding. Once this point is reached, loosen the vise and slide the chain to the next tooth facing the same direction, skipping the tooth in between. Place the back of the chipper firmly against the lateral stop. Continue working your way around the chain, remembering for now to skip the chippers facing the opposite direction. Once the lateral and depth stops are set, let them do their job. Don't strong arm the grinder to try and override the stops. If one or a handful of teeth are chipped or have excessive wear compared to the others, it may be best to make a couple of light passes around the entire chain rather than taking a lot of material from one or a few teeth. Uniform, consistent grinding depth is the key. Above all, remember to wear eye protection while operating the grinder. Stop when you reach the chipper that you marked in the initial setup and swing the vise turret to the same setting in the opposite direction. The depth is already set, so the only thing to check this time is the position of the lateral stop. Again, do a dry run with the grinder switched off to make sure these opposing teeth are lined up with the disc. Now grind each tooth facing in that direction. Once the chippers in both directions have been sharpened, it's time to check the rakers. Rakers are set slightly below the height of the chippers, with their function being to control the chain's depth of cut. This is an important aspect because chippers get slightly shorter with each sharpening, so the rakers must be adjusted from time to time by removing a small amount of material to maintain their height in relation to the chippers. For most general-purpose crosscut chains, this raker gap is typically around 20 thousandths to 25 thousandths of an inch below the tops of the chippers. Some chain manufacturers specify raker gaps as much as 60 thousandths under certain conditions, but remember, as the depth of cut increases, so does the risk of kickback. There are specialty tools for measuring raker height, but really all you need is a good straight edge and a set of feeler gauges. Place the straight edge across the tops of two chippers and measure the gap between the top of the raker and the straight edge. Again, somewhere around 20 to 25 thousandths of an inch is standard for most crosscut chains. If the rakers need adjusting, set the vise turret to 0, the side plate angle to 90 degrees, and switch to a flat edge disc. Zero out the depth stop so that the disc just touches the top of the chipper, then adjust the stop to dial in the raker gap. In this case, I know from past experience that a little less than half a turn of the depth adjustment knob is about 25 thousandths of an inch. Lock this setting in place and grind the tops of the rakers. With the rakers shortened uniformly, you now have a razor-sharp chain that, with reasonable care, will give you many hours of good performance. Hey, thanks for watching. Here are more videos you may find helpful. Be sure to visit our homepage for much more DIY and home workshop content.